Hello and welcome to the next of our lecture recaps. This was a recap of our session on public sector governance. So the first thing we understood was what was the public sector. So this was the provision of goods and services by the state. Examples of that, well, we broke down government into national government, subnational government and supranational government. And that was the local government was subnational, and then at supranational we've got things like the EU that come above national governments. We also have the legislator, for example Parliament, and we have other government bodies that would also fall within this. There are some issues around public sector governance, such as identification of stakeholders. Remember, this can be complex because of the use of taxpayers' funds. So there are lots of stakeholders when it comes to public sector governance. There was also the agency relationship between the principals, in this case the taxpayers or indeed the end users of the service, and the agents, being the management or the government representatives who manage the assets of the organisation on behalf of the principals. The other key issue to deal with was performance. It's more difficult to assess the performance of a public sector organisation because they don't have the profit incentive. So we really focused here more on value for money, the 3 E's, providing economy, effectiveness and efficiency through that organisation. Other bodies that we should be aware of were non-governmental organisations, NGOs. So these are people who come together with a common interest to provide other services not provided by the public sector or the private sector. For example, humanitarian needs through the Red Cross. These have private funding with trustees overseeing them to ensure they spend it in the correct way. We also mentioned quangos, which were quasi-autonomous, non-governmental organisations. Remember, these were taxpayer funded but have that level of independence. They're designed to provide expertise whilst maintaining that independence. However, they are criticised for being unaccountable, and there is a blurred reporting as to who they are actually reporting to. So these can be criticised on that front. When it comes to the actual governance of public sector organisations, there will be an oversight body. So this would be a trustee board. The role of that board, well, they want to make sure that the organisation complies with all of the rules that it's required to, and to ensure that the key performance indicators are met, perhaps even setting those. Also overseeing senior appointments and indeed reporting to authorities to make sure that everything is going well. If not, they will make changes, so perhaps changes in personnel, in management, or indeed key performance indicators. Lastly then, what about policy? Well, we talked about the endless argument between the extent of public sector services. Should we have lots of services provided or few services provided with private sector providing the rest? There are arguments on both sides of this. Those for a larger public sector would surround the state control of key services which may be required, the affordability for the end user, and the universal provision for everyone at an affordable price. On the other side, well, there is inefficiency in public sector organisations. Having a competition environment may well improve quality and improve value for the end user. But you could argue on either side, and it generally will depend on your political persuasion. So that was a recap of our session on public sector governance.